What if one song didn't just climb to the top, but refused to come down? Not for a week, not for a month, not even for a year. Because right now, on Spotify Korea, history is being rewritten in the quietest, most powerful way possible. And the song at the center of it all is Jimin's Who. In an industry where attention is fragile and trends disappear overnight, staying relevant is hard enough. Staying at number one? That's almost impossible. Yet somehow Who has turned the impossible into routine. According to Spotify's latest chart update, Who, the title track from Jimin's second solo album Muse, has officially reached 70 weeks at number one on Spotify, Korea's weekly top song. 70 weeks. That's not just a record, it's a moment no other song in the platform's history has ever touched. When Who was released on July 19th last year, it debuted straight at number one. But what followed wasn't a typical chart run. Week after week passed, and the song never moved. It didn't slip to number two. It didn't take a break. It didn't hand the crown to anyone else. For a full 52 consecutive weeks, an entire year, Who stayed locked at the top, becoming the first and only song in Spotify Korea history to hold the number one position without interruption for a whole year. And instead of slowing down after that historic run, it kept going. Now, with 70 total number one weeks, Who stands alone as the most dominant song ever on Spotify Korea's weekly chart. No tie, no close second, just one name at the top. But this story gets deeper, because this isn't a one-time miracle, this is a pattern. Before Who, Jimin had already proven his solo power with Like Crazy, the title track from his first solo album Face. That song reached 40 number one weeks on the same chart, an achievement that once felt untouchable. Now, combined, Jimin holds the highest number of number one and number two songs in Spotify Korea's weekly chart history. Not as a group, not as a trend, but as an individual artist with a sound people choose repeatedly. And the daily charts tell an even more emotional story. On December 25, Christmas Day, when carols traditionally dominate playlists and nostalgia takes over, Who didn't budge. It remained number one on Spotify Korea's daily top song chart, extending its record to an incredible 488 consecutive days at number one, almost 500 days. Think about that. Nearly 500 mornings where people pressed play on the same song, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. That devotion shows in the numbers too. With over 87.9 million streams, Who is currently the most streamed song on Spotify Korea, and it continues to grow, not from hype, but from habit, comfort, and connection. What makes Who so powerful isn't volume or spectacle. It's emotion. It lingers. It stays with you. It waits for the listener to come back. And they always do. Jimin isn't just topping charts anymore. He's creating music that lives with people, day after day, season after season. In a world that moves fast and forgets faster, Who doesn't rush. It stays.